Now that you know how to use the all-in-one SEO Pack plugin to add custom SEO titles and descriptions to your posts and pages, it's time to take a look at the customization options for the plugin itself. All-in-one SEO Pack can be customized to fit with your site and your particular work process. All the settings for the plugin are found under the All-in-one SEO Pack button right here at the top of the main menu in your dashboard under General Settings. To start off, you can join the mailing list for the plugin and receive a free ebook about SEO tips for WordPress. That way you'll get updates about what's going on with the plugin. And when you scroll down to general settings, you'll see you can also check if you have donated to the plugin developer. If you're getting good use out of this plugin and you want to support further development, I suggest you donate something to the plugin developer because after all, he's building this plugin for you to use for free. Under General Settings, you can also configure canonical URLs. This has to do with how WordPress indexes its content. If you have a post that's under multiple categories and has multiple tags, then when Google spiders the site, it'll see if I follow this category, I find a post. But if I follow this other category, I find a different post that looks exactly the same. So Google will start thinking that you are duplicating your own content for better ranking. What canonical URLs does is it tells Google, no, these are all the same posts. You just get to them from different places. So leaving this option checked is a really good idea. Next, you can use original title. This is a developer feature. So by default, if you install All-in-one SEO Pack, All-in-one SEO Pack will attempt to override the title tag in your theme. But in some cases that doesn't work, in which case you may have to check enabled. But for most cases, disabled is the correct setting. You can also log important events. This again is a developer feature so that you can see if something goes wrong with a plugin, you can see what's happening. Scrolling down, you have homepage settings. This is the same type of information we entered for a single post, and you can also enter it for a single page. But because your homepage is an index page, it doesn't have a title or a description. This is where you would enter that title and description. So if you don't like the title of your site or you think that you can add a more descriptive title, you can do it here. And more importantly, you can also add your home description here. So I always recommend adding a home description because if people choose to share your site, so just the main URL on Facebook or Google Plus or LinkedIn or another social network, if there is no description, what the social network will do is it'll look for a description and basically just pick whatever is the most recent post and put that up as the description of your site. And that's usually not what you want. So here you put in a simple description of what your site is about. And now this will be the description that shows up in sharing boxes on social media and so on. And just like with pages and posts, home keywords are pointless, so don't waste your time putting them in. Speaking of keywords, directly underneath we have keyword settings, and here you can choose whether or not you want to use keywords. By default, it's enabled, but like I said, there's little point in adding keywords to your content because no one indexes it, so you might as well disable this feature. That way, you won't have the keyword field show up all over the place and you won't be distracted by it. I'm going to skip title settings because we'll cover it later in the course, and I'm instead going to scroll down to custom post type settings. If you are using a custom WordPress installation, you are using certain themes, or if you have extensions with plugins, you may have custom post types on your site. If so, you can choose whether or not you want to extend the SEO functionality to those custom post types. In most cases, you do, but in some cases you don't. And this is where you can enable or disable that feature en masse. Enabled means it'll be enabled by default. Disabled means it'll be disabled for all custom post types. You can also choose to enable advanced options. So these are the tracking options that I showed you in the previous movie. So by default, these are disabled, but you can also enable them. Under display settings, you can choose if you want to show column labels for custom post types. I'm going to show you what this is first so you see what it is. If I go to the dashboard in a separate tab and I go to posts, you'll see that in addition to the regular columns you already have in WordPress, so title, author, categories, tags, comments, and date, you have two additional ones, SEO title and SEO description. This is where you see if you've entered titles and descriptions for each post, and you can also go in and edit them directly from this panel. The display settings allow you to choose what kind of content you want to display these options on. And as you can see, it displays all of your post types. So here we have post, pages, media, which is all your images and stuff. And in my case, I also have feedbacks because as you remember in the beginning of the course, I installed a Grunion contact form. And the Grunion contact form is actually a post type. So you can add that post type. You can also choose if you want to display the menu in the admin bar. That is this menu that you see up here in the admin bar. And you can decide whether you want to display the menu at the top. So if you look here, by default, the all-in-one SEO menu is at the very top of your menu bar here, but you can turn it off and then it'll appear on the bottom instead. Next, we have Webmaster Verification. These are services that come from Google, Bing, and Pinterest that basically tell Google, Bing, and Pinterest that you are the owner of these sites so that you can link your Webmaster Tools to the site. So what you would have to do here is set up a Google Webmaster Tools account, a Big Webmaster Center account, and a Pinterest site verification account. And then you get codes from them that you paste in here that will then enable those features for your site. Now, be advised, there are several different plugins that want you to do this, and you only want to do it in one place. So if you have multiple other plugins, like verification plugins or other SEO plugins or something else, and you've already entered this information, don't do it here as well, because then you get duplicate information, and that's never good. Scrolling down, you can add further Google information by setting up your Google Plus default profile URL. You can disable the Google Plus profile if you want to, and you can also add Google Analytics. And again, this is something you want to add if you don't already have a plugin that does it. Many themes and many plugins will also help you add this information, so make sure you're not duplicating that information. No index settings are exactly what they sound like. You can choose to no index categories and no index archives if you want to, and also no index tag archives. This simply means that Google will not track these lists and index them, and that might be a good idea because otherwise you get the situation I talked about earlier, where it looks like you have multiple content that's being duplicated all over your site. Finally, if you scroll to the bottom, we have advanced settings. This is where you control how descriptions are displayed on the site en masse, and you can also control some other elements. If you check auto-generate descriptions, all-in-one SEO pack will try to auto-generate descriptions for the pages and posts that don't have custom descriptions on them, so I recommend leaving this checked. You can also choose to remove descriptions for paginated pages. These are pages that have page breaks in them, so you go and see the beginning of the page, and then you jump to part 2 of the page and part 3 of the page. So if you do that on your blog, you may want to check this box. You can also choose to unprotect post meta fields. I recommend leaving this alone unless you know what it is. It's an advanced function that only kicks in certain exclusive circumstances. Below this, you can choose to exclude pages from all-in-one SEO pack. You do so simply by entering a list of pages with a comma in between. You can exclude pages or even whole categories. To see how this works, you can click on the name of this form field, and you'll see here's a full breakdown of how that works. This is powerful if you have sections of your site that you don't need SEO on, because then the fields are just going to show up and be annoying. The 4 bottom fields are quite interesting. Here you can add additional post headers, page headers, and additional front page headers and blog page headers. By headers, I mean additional content that goes at the head of the page, so in the code. These headers can add more information to the page, for the browser, for search engines, or for other things. Here you can enter pretty much anything you want. You can add additional meta tags like the author of the site itself, or you can add style sheets, or you can add tracking code, or even JavaScript. So this is a place where you can use the plugin to inject code. Now, personally, I wouldn't recommend using this because if you want to inject this type of code, you should really do it in a child theme or in a custom theme. But if you have something you need to inject, like tracking code or some other type of testing code, you can do it here. For post headers, so that would be regular posts. For page headers, so regular pages. You can also do it for the front page, so that would be the front page of the site, regardless of whether that is the blog or a static page. And you can also do it for the blog page, which is the blog page. When you've made all your changes to your settings, you can click Update Options, and those changes will now apply to your entire site. If you scroll down to the bottom again, you'll see that you also have two other options. You can either reset general settings to default or reset all settings to default. So if you made a change and you go, I'm not sure that was the right thing to do, you can always reset it back to where you started and just start over with your settings. The default settings in this plugin are pretty good, and depending on the needs of your site and what other plugins you use, you can choose to use all-in-one SEO pack to link the site to Webmaster Tools, Google Analytics, and Google+. Just remember that you shouldn't use multiple plugins to do the same task. That will cause problems.